taxi checklist. No slides, so we can request taxi now.
Monitor of the 345, we'll continue runway 04.
Turn 345, turn right on taxiway Alpha, taxi Foxtrot 9.
Singapore 327 ready to taxi.
Right on Alpha.
Singapore 327 taxi to runway 26 left via taxiways Oscar 2, Sierra 8, Sierra, Bravo 13, Tango, Bravo 14.
So, let's have a look at that. So, they said taxi via. We are on
Right Alpha.
via Oscar 2. We are not on Oscar 2. Yeah, so we according to this we should have been pushed over here, which is, yeah, okay. I'm going to wing it, Bravo 1. So we need to get over the bridge here at Bravo 1, okay. Sierra 8, Sierra. Where is Sierra 8, Sierra? You know what? We're going to go straight and then we're going to go left here on Sierra. Follow all the Sierra. And then we need to go to exit Bravo 13, so it wants us here. Okay, so I'm going to take the straightest way to the taxi point, because it's no point trying to do this. Yeah, I'm not going to. So follow me, auto zoom. It always forgets this setting again, and off we go. So, taxi lights on.
Triple Planner, goedemorgen, het is ASIA 6223, we are fully ready.
Well, ASIA 6223.
And
the pushback in Alpha 5.
does it say on the taxi checklist? No slides, taxi. Yeah, is that not what we have done?
Charlie 11 approved as ASIA 6223.
Yeah, now we have, for some reason that wasn't the taxi position. Runway turn-off lights, we also should turn on, okay. If you want it.
It is open, so you can continue via Alpha.
Weird that I've just turned it on and it went red. Let's reset it. Now the nose lights are not on taxi. You know what? This can't be bothered with that. Parking brake off, thrust levers as required, and the auto brake. Oh yeah, actually we need to. Oh god, how did that go? That is the auto brake. So we need to somehow figure out the auto brake setting. That's RTO. Yeah, okay, so for that one it's easy. Next. And the next would be the before takeoff checklist. Okay. Parking brake is off and on we go. Yeah, this is a bit awkward here.
Because ASIA 6223 taxi Quebec, runway 36 left, plus 36 center, this is fine. To the 36 left via Quebec and clear course 65, ASIA 6223.
Planner, goedemorgen, that's Colonel 613, stand Delta 52, fully ready.
Dutch Colonel 613, startup and pushback is approved.
Startup and pushback approved, Dutch Colonel 613.
Oh, by the way.
Taxi to runway 26 left via taxiways Oscar 2
Confirm
Sierra
the
8 Sierra
instructions.
Bravo 13 Tango Bravo 14 Singapore 327.
Planner, goedemorgen, dat was ASIA 43 Fox, is ready at Charlie 6. Dat was ASIA 43 Fox, dat pushback and startup approved. Pushback startup approved, dat was ASIA 43 Fox.
Goedemorgen, dus van Zambia 28 Papa. We are fully ready.
That seems to be ATC from
Zambia 28 Papa,
Schiphol,
behind, pushback approved.
Netherlands.
After commando behind, push start approved. Van Zambia 28 Papa.
So, Bravo 13, which is, I think, this here.
Via Bravo, runway 36
I'm
left.
correct.
Left, crossing runway 36 left, that's 55, that's Cardinal 613.
Yep, that's Bravo 13.
Goedemorgen, dus van Zambia 28 Papa. We are fully ready. It's Delta 48.
Zambia 28 Papa, after commando behind, pushback approved.
After commando behind, push start approved. Van Zambia 28 Papa.
And we're probably going to be handed off now to the tower any moment. Yeah, Bravo 13.
All 3 box of protection.
Zambia 44 slot taxi Quebec, runway 36 left, 36
Stop here
65.
and park brake on. And yeah, let's see. And derange AFIS options, so strobe lights on, the TCAS mode TARA. We'll make sure.
Good morning, Orange 207, stand Delta 2, fully ready.
Orange 207, start up and pushback approved.
So TARA normal, we have auto mode on. So I think we should have been,
So Zambia 623, Victor 4, to the combination.
should already have been actually passed on, I thought. Well, we're still on ground. Maybe we need to get a bit closer.
Zambia 28 Papa, request taxi.
Zambia 28 Papa, taxi Bravo, runway 36 left, cross 36 center, whiskey 5.
Taxi Bravo, runway 36 left, and cross the center by whiskey 5.
Singapore 327 contact tower on 118.7, good day.
118.7. Very good. Let's
Tower on
found that.
118.7 Singapore 327.
So we're now on the tower frequency and we are basically ready for takeoff. I think.
3176.
3176, down to airport.
Okay, so let's quickly check. Everything here is okay. We have flaps too. So let's put on the strobe into auto. The
Orange 207, request taxi.
Orange 207, leave Alpha 5, taxi Quebec, runway 36
yeah.
left.
So now let's contact the tower.
Alpha 5, Quebec, cross.
Request takeoff.
36 left, Orange 207.
Tower Singapore 327 ready for departure runway 26 left.
Singapore 327 winds are light and variable, cleared for takeoff. Runway 26 left, squawk 3433.
Squawk 3433. Which we have. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to mode it into on. Right? Just in case. Parking brake off. Line up. So cleared for takeoff, runway 26, squawk 334. So we are already cleared.
Cleared for takeoff runway 26 left, squawking 3433 Singapore 327.
Roger, continue Victor 4.
Continue Victor 4, that's Channel 613.
Dutch Cannon 613, contact 118.28.
118.2, ASUS, that's channel 613.
Approaching 26 left.
Transavia 1539er, request taxi.
Transavia 1539, taxi Bravo, WC H100i, Whiskey 5.
Bravo 367, cross the center, Whiskey 5. Transavia 1539er.
It's a little bit of a tricky thing to get it right. This almost looks as if we have an aircraft using the wrong runway. We probably need to ignore this. This is potentially X-Live, so you don't see this there. I think there is an aircraft there. Park brake. So right, I think we are through. Next is the after takeoff checklist.
188, Transavia 28, stop.
Parking brake off. So Manuflex 45 SRS runway. Yeah, the rudder is unfortunately not yet, and the steering doesn't really keep it straight. I need to probably check the joystick assignments. Alright, back in the middle. V1 rotate. Ooh. Yeah, it's okay. We're not doing X-Live ATC.
Goedemiddag, Channel 588, VKD 06.
Channel 588,
climb.
right on Alpha, taxi gate Echo 5.
Right,
Thrust climb.
Alpha and gate Echo 5, Channel 588.
And so I'm going to turn autopilot 1 on.
Whichever, yours 207. Horse 207 to the 118.28. 128.
Flaps 1. Flaps up.
KLM 37 November, standby 121.9 is fine. 119.5,
So
Singapore 327 slow to 220 knots or less. Singapore 327 contact.
KLM 600 you may stand by
220 or less. 220 or less. And 118 decimal.
Radar director on 118.82 Singapore 327.
Okay. So there's a problem now.
Singapore 327 climbing to flight level 130.
Singapore 327, good afternoon. Radar contact. Singapore 327 climb and maintain flight level 130.
130. Okay, and push. It's always a bit difficult. Manage climb. Oh, the gear's still up. Ah, that gear thing didn't work. My gear key didn't work. Okay. That's why we still had the red marker.
Climb and maintain flight level 130 Singapore 327.
So, transition altitude. Where's the button?
Altimeter setting.
Standard. Standard. And we can disarm also the speed brake.
Bavaria 5 uniform, make a 6.
Sector 5 uniform, taxi Quebec, runway 26 left, 56 center, whiskey 5.
Correct, 26 left, Victor 4, I think, and crossing 36 center, approved, Bavaria 5 uniform.
Oops, I forgot to press the chrono.
Hopefully mark at the man 656, vacating 656. 656, right on Alpha, taxi Fox 6. Right Alpha, Fox 6, man 656. Kellerman 656, hold short, Alpha 9. Hold short, Alpha 9.
Singapore 327 contact Munich, center on 120.65. Have a good afternoon.
So send on 120.05.
Center on 120.65, take care Singapore 327. Singapore 327 climbing to flight level 130.
Singapore 327, good afternoon. Radar contact.
Ground 7 Air 811, location Terra 4.
Sure Air 811, taxi Foxtrot 3, turn right on Alpha.
Turn right on Alpha 7 Air 811.
Have 4 into Victor 4, got the Mominator on the way.
Mominator way.
So let's get the VBAC 3 whiskey departure. Can then follow the aircraft.
Bavaria 6463, Richmond taxi.
So Xavier 660, taxi Bravo, runway
We are, you can see how we are following nicely the departure route.
Left, 1% down, 5, Bavaria 6463.
Singapore 327, climb and maintain flight level 210.
Flight level
Delta 256, turn right on Alpha.
210.
Do it at Alpha 7, at Alpha 7 to Alpha.
Climb and maintain flight level 210 Singapore 327.
To gate Echo.
change the speed now. In a moment.
Xavier 6463, give way to the CMN on taxiway Alpha.
Give way to the aircraft ISUS, Bavaria 6463.
So, I forgot to press the button.
Xavier 5 uniform got the Mominator on the way.
Quickly, the after takeoff checklist.
Bavaria 5 uniform.
Anti-ice as required, it's in automatic mode anyway. And then the climb, we've done that already. Cruise flight set as required, yeah. Anti-ice as required.
Affirmative, pick up Alpha.
Seat belts as required. So are we already we're already at 10,000, by the way. We can turn off all the lights now.
37 Hotel with Alpha 9 to Bravo and
And we can turn off the seat belts.
Bravo and cross 27
We are climbing extremely slow. I'm not sure why that is.
for the 669 and Tower 119 0.
Tower 119 230 at 169 again.
The speed is too high. So this doesn't really work well here. That's why we are climbing so slowly.
Xavier 6463, got the Mominator on the way.
118 to 8 line, Bavaria 6463.
So we are now at JIT and who is that? GET, I think. OTT, I mean. And now it's going direction Maybach and then Baku.
After Delta Airlines is fast behind, start and push through Delta 65, Zambia 88 Bravo.
ECA memo is nothing to review. Then what's that? Navigates, they're checked, and that's it. Yeah, next would be the cruise. And I will be at flight level 330. So I'm going to stay with you now in the video until we have reached our cruising altitude, and then I'm going to finish this part. I'm then going to go into this kind of ground speed mode, higher ground speed mode, in order to not sit here for 11 hours. I will probably take some snapshots from time to time, also to correct fuel and time, so that matches, because the ground speed mode is great from a performance point of view, but unfortunately it doesn't change things at all. So the fuel is wrong, and also the time is wrong. So I need to then forward the time a bit and also decrease, set a lower fuel level, so that we are somewhat staying realistic here. So we almost reached flight level 210. See if we get the instructions.
Singapore 327, climb and maintain flight level 290.
Flight level 290.
Traffic Golf, the company behind, push full beam Delta 14 and start up at 2.
Okay.
Climb and maintain flight level 290, Singapore 327.
Dus even to the wind, because the combinator is not to wait.
Combinator is not to wait, yeah, 20.
So is there a constraint? Because this doesn't show 290 here. Yeah. We will see.
Bye-bye.
Roger there, 6342, hello, continue.
Cool.
So we're still climbing. So I'll leave the speed at that then, and once we have reached our cruise altitude, I will attempt to go back into managed mode for the speed. So, nice view.
132, good morning. Via Bravo and an Alpha 7, switch to taxiway Alpha.
The Alps over there. It's the Shortfinal design. Standard scenery replaced with the Shortfinal design global textures, which looks pretty good in Germany.
Bravo Victor 4, Quick Tower,
Singapore 327, contact via Centre on 124.4
124.4.
Centre on 124.4, Singapore 327. Singapore 327 climbing to flight level 290. Singapore 327, good afternoon. Radar contact.
So we have stopped climbing, as I thought. It treats this as a constraint, which it isn't. That is really stupido.
Singapore 327 climb and maintain flight level 290.
Yes, yes.
Climb and maintain flight level 290 Singapore 327.
Short of Alpha 10.
On Alpha, hold short, Alpha 10, Delta 132.
It wasn't supposed to do that.
Delta 132, after outbound Transavia to enter Alpha 10.
Okay, after it's outbound, we'll enter via Alpha 10.
So the A350 is... yeah. I hope that V2, whenever they bring that one out, from a visual point of view, it may have been not a bad design when it came out, but it's in the meantime all these wishy-washy textures and all are not state-of-the-art anymore. There are better out there, also from Flight Factor, and yeah, the lack of system depth and kind of vital functionality that you would expect from an Airbus, that's really lacking. But it's the Tolis guys who have been teaming up now with Flight Factor, and as far as I understand, they're going to do all this here, including the avionics and everything. So I'm expecting to see interesting things, possibly also an integration of Avitab in here, you know. So we might be seeing some really nice extensions in version 2, which will probably cost some money. But yeah, if they give us a proper A350 and not this kind of half-arse thing here, I don't mind it actually.
Transavia 37 Bravo.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we have to change the runway combinations right now. So it will be runway 24 for you. And Alpha 13, you can make a left turn for taxiway Alpha and pretty clearance.
Okay, Alpha 13 to Alpha.
So Rich 270.
Transavia 37
And it has stopped again, the climb, because probably we have another freaking constraint. This is really pissing me off a bit.
Singapore 327 expedite climb to flight level 290.
Yeah. Seeing this, I would probably take out any in-between altitude on the way up, because that's no point, unless it is a known constraint.
Delta 132, Transavia on your left, there's no conflict.
It shouldn't really put this in as a constraint, I suppose.
And Transavia 3 Alpha. 3 Alpha? Yeah, new clearance for you, ready to copy? Yeah, fine.
Singapore 327 climb and maintain flight level 330.
Transavia 5 on Alpha.
Flight level 330.
Climb and maintain flight level 330 Singapore 327.
Which is our cruise altitude. Yeah. I'm now in open climb mode because the manage doesn't really cut it.
Well, you're now at ground frequency. Maybe you have
So we're outside now of the departure. So now here in the maps, this map doesn't really show the flight plan. This is just position as such. And since we have a lot of maps, I'm actually wondering what I should show in here. So basically, this is the flight plan. So we could actually bring in the flight plan and check. So, for example, We have reached Akima now, which is here. We are supposed to have 68 tons on board. Don't forget, I've added about how much have I added? About 5 tons. So we should have probably 73-ish on board. Let's see where our fuel is. We have 70 tons on board. And I wonder why that is. I hope it's not a sign for a much higher fuel flow. Well, we are still in the climb, so we have a really high fuel flow. But we need to hopefully not exceed this the whole flight, because then I will not have enough fuel left. That's for sure. I think it calculated with about 4,000, about 4 tons an hour here. At the moment we have double of that, but we are still climbing, not very long though.
We still have a car on the runway. Move your little runway and contact tower on 119.905.
So let's switch to Mach. And we're supposed to fly with Mach 0.85. So as soon as we reached our cruise altitude in about 1,000 feet, 1,000, I'm going to set this. I wonder actually if I could do this here in the performance page cruise. Mach 0.84. It would actually go for this speed, so that's okay. We're going to try that then with managed speed as soon as we have leveled off. Weather is on. Okay. So we reached it. I'm going to try now manage mode again. See.
Taxi Alpha via Alpha 12, taxi runway 24, Sierra 6.
Taxi via Alpha 12 Alpha to Sierra 6, Novavia 3.
What we can't see in the PFD is what the Mach speed it's aiming for is, unfortunately. So it's 310. And then I hope that we are going to reduce the fuel flow, because otherwise we're never going to make it to Singapore.
Alpha contact tower 119.905.
Over 9.905, tot having 3 off.
So in the meantime, I was probably already getting fed and was comfortable, was getting comfortable. Entertainment system in Singapore is quite good. So generally the service and so on is actually rather good on Singapore. So now the fuel flow is reducing. I hope it's reducing in the area where we want it, because at the moment it is still rather high. We are now at well, shortly after, yeah, the top of climb. So we're supposed to have 65 tons on board. See? Yeah, fuel flow is rather high, I hope. We have 69. We're supposed to be at Pesat. At Pesat, which is 100 miles away, we are supposed to be at 65. And that, although I have actually added quite a bit of fuel. So my fear is that the calculations from SimBrief most likely won't do it. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's go to the fuel calculation again and see what they had calculated. So they calculated 11 hours with 62. Oh, actually, that is. Yeah. Yeah, that they calculated with less, because you see, they calculate about 3 tons per half an hour makes 6 tons. Well, actually, we are close to that. We are close to that, and the wind is actually pushing us. So if you look at the, it's actually hard to see here like this. If you look here. We have actually a ground speed of 514 with Mach 8.6. That's actually too high. I'm going to do the speed manual and bring it back to Mach 0.85. Okay, and when we look now, we have roughly 6.8 tons. It is still a bit more than SimBrief has calculated. But it is okay, actually. I think with the additional fuel that I've added, we're probably going to be okay. Yeah, there was a good reason why I added all this fuel, another 5 tons or so, because I kind of figured that it might not really work out with the fuel exactly like SimBrief calculates, because I don't know who's created the SimBrief profile. But yeah. Anyway, so that's good. So you can also see the active sky weather. At the moment we have still, yeah, we have already some clouds here. Yeah, we can see that. There's some scattered clouds. But as I said, the ride was actually quite smooth all the way to Singapore. And yeah, I think it's a good time now to stop the video at this part. And I will, as I say, I will now go into speed increase mode and we'll try and shorten the trip for me, adjusting the time from time to time. Let's see if we did it actually record the times. It was at the waypoint. Akima was 12:05. Okay, so let's have a quick look where we should have been at Akima. At Akima we should have been... where's the time here? Is there no time? I don't have the time. Estimated time. ETO. Okay. Well, that's not helpful. That is not helpful. Okay. I thought it would have the time in here, but yeah, it didn't actually calculate the times. I haven't realized that is missing here, so you have to actually put it in yourself. (0011), so that is EET. Yeah. No, we are already 25 minutes. And Pesat, we should arrive at 32 minutes. And Akima at 12:07. So what time is it now? Where's the clock here? Where's the clock here in this? Clock. No. Do we not have a clock in this aircraft? That's interesting. Options. Is there no time? Where can I see the time? Let's see. Ah, down there. So how come the time of Akima is increased? It was 12:07. So this is yeah, this is not very useful. I think I'm going to quickly wait for Pesat and then take the time. So we are 26 minutes, so Pesat we should reach at about 32 minutes. Yeah, we need to add a couple of minutes because I accidentally activated the time later, so a couple of minutes later. So this is not quite accurate. Yeah, this whole thing is less than useful. So, for example, you couldn't really give a proper position report because apparently it will not track the times. It will, yeah. Time marker. No, oh, that doesn't work. Flightplan report doesn't work. Yep. Okay. Actually, I didn't really write down the time that we left. Should have done that. So I would guess I have to add about 3-4 minutes because I started this. So we should be in and around 30 something minutes now. And it calculates at 12:14. If I would see the current time, 12:10, so in about 4 minutes, so we're maybe 6 minutes, 4 to 6 minutes later, a little bit behind, yeah. Okay, I think that's enough. The fuel flow has actually gone down reasonably, so I think we're fine. Right, that's it. Let's do the cutoff, and I'll be back with more. So, hello, welcome back. Very quick in between status update. So this is actually working quite well with 4 times the speed. I think that's sufficient. It also means that the autopilot is not going already. And it's actually quite easy to change the fuel because I have all the fuel planning, so I know, as you can see here in the flight plan, I can see what fuel we should have. I add the extra fuel that I had originally put in. And so we keep roughly at the correct fuel level, and I also adjust the time because I've taken 1 hour milestones kind of, and took the time that it had calculated originally, because also the time calculation is a bit off than when you do increased speed, and then I set the time to roughly what it should be at that particular waypoint. So I have done one every hour, so I don't need to do this too often. So every hour or let's say every 15 minutes flying time is an hour at the moment real time. So every 15 minutes I adjust the time and I adjust the fuel, and that keeps it pretty much, I think, on the correct level. So what you can see now is we have reached the Black Sea. So we have crossed Romania. We have been flying slightly north of the Bulgarian border here. So we're passing near Bucharest, and we're now here in the Black Sea. You can see Sevastopol, the Crimean here, and we're flying directly over the Black Sea here into Turkey. That is still Turkey, I think. Yep, I think that should be still Turkey. And then we continue via Armenia into the Caspian Sea. So that's near Baku. So here's Baku, so we're flying kind of close to Baku. Yeah, that's the current state. Just wanted to give you this status update. Things working really well. And yeah, we're still relatively, so that the time is still okay. The problem is now the further east we go, or not problem, but the situation is the further east we go, the quicker it gets dark. So with every hour that passes, because we are crossing time zones, and we're crossing time zones where the time is actually going up, the local time that is, so we're going to see darkness probably relatively soon. I would think that the next waypoint will already be probably relatively darkish, and the latest by Natso, which is 1507, supposed to be 1507 UTC, plus I think a minimum 2 hours by the time we're there. Probably could be even more than 2 hours time zone add-on. So we're talking then 6 to 7 o'clock, and that means, especially because we are in the winter month, we're probably going to see the darkness coming relatively soon, and from that moment on the flight will be completely in the dark. Yeah, but I'm going to point that out to you, and I'm going to have another status update when we are actually getting close to the night line. I don't know what you call that, actually. Okay, so as I say, everything's working fine, and I'm relatively happy. I just realized that I should probably go and put this here into the progress doesn't have flight plan page. Okay, so you can also see where we are flight plan wise. I just realized that the displays have already again. Okay, so I had to actually change a little bit the displays. So yeah, shift this over a little bit. Okay. So weather-wise, you can see there are clouds, and we can also see these clouds then here in the sky. Dinop is our next waypoint. At the moment, we are flying normal time. So Banua, and here you can see the times it has estimated, but as soon as I speed up, then this will go down again, or actually the time will decrease obviously, because we are flying 4 times faster, and then I make up for it. So as soon as we are on one of my milestones, I will actually put in the time that it should have had, which is later than what we are actually at the moment. So that's the way this works. So far, working out quite well. You can also see in the map at the top right that we have gone a little bit now, but we're still a good bit to go. Yeah, I would think that around this time we have finished eating. Yeah, what else can we do then? Watch the entertainment. And some people, as soon as it gets darkish outside, people start to get themselves ready for some sleep. For me, it was too early. I can't sleep that early, German time. So it took me some hours, probably somewhere in and around Afghanistan, Pakistan. That's when I actually fell asleep for 1 or 2 hours. And I didn't sleep that much on the flight, although everything was quite comfortable, I have to say. Yeah, but that's the usual thing. You can't just. I can't just. And also the noise and stuff. We had earplugs, or I had earplugs with me, but yeah, for me it's difficult to sleep on planes, even if they are relatively comfortable. Okay, so that's it. Status update number 1. So hello. Another status update. We are now at Ghz, which is roughly an hour after our last waypoint. And the thing is, we now have to climb our first step climb to flight level 350. So that means I need to now tell ATC request to altitude, check request climb to request climb to flight level 330. No, that's not what I want. Okay, I have to probably do this. Singapore 327, request climb to flight level 350.
Aircraft calling center, say again with your call sign.
Singapore 327, request climb to flight level 350.
327 climb and maintain flight level 350.
Down level 70 again,
50, okay.
Climb and maintain flight level 350 Singapore 327.
So 350. I'm going to use vertical speed mode, and I'm going to bring up to about 1000, and I will probably also have to change the performance cruise. So where is the climb cruise? No, it's probably then in the init page. Where have we got the cruise flight level? 350. Yeah. So now let's see what it does with our flight plan. Yep. I mean, that was preset anyway, so we should now have the correct. Yeah. So we have still about 58 tons on board. That's actually things stay in line quite well, even in speed up mode, and we're just at the other end now of the Black Sea, and we'll very soon fly first a little bit over Turkey. We are actually connected to is it Ankara control, I think, at the moment, and then we're going to transition at some point over into Armenia. Yeah, so you can see Yerevan.
327 contact Sankara Center on 127.3. Enjoy your afternoon.
Sankara, okay.
Center on 127.3 Singapore 327.
So I need to.
Singapore 327 climbing to flight level 350. Singapore 327, good afternoon. Radar contact.
Could you confirm
Okay.
routing after
So we've almost reached our new cruise altitude. The wind actually hasn't really turned out that favorable. We actually have wind facing us. I thought that we would be pushed. Didn't quite turn out that way. Okay, it's not too bad with 16 knots, and it's not head on, but still. Yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why we use slightly more fuel than we had estimated. Not that much though. And as you can see now, it has actually become almost dark. The sun is behind us and it's going down. So I have already turned on the lights, and very soon we're going to be in the dark here. And then the rest of the flight until shortly before landing will be actually in the dark. So there isn't that much to see then from outside. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Okay, so yeah, so far successful. I'm quite happy with everything that's happening. New cruise altitude 3510. I'm not sure why it put that in. I just realized that this little here. Okay, let's clear this message. So we are flying towards Tolun. And yeah, this is incomplete here, so it doesn't really fill up stuff. It's just the way it is. It's okay. It does what it has to do. Eventually, before we hit Singapore, I will have to go through the simple FMC setup to get all the arrivals and approaches for Singapore as procedures, but we're going to do that when we go through the approach briefing. Hopefully by then I know a little bit better where we are supposed to go and how we are going to land, depending on the ambient weather situation in Singapore when we arrive, which is still a couple of hours. I think it's at least 7 or 8 hours away. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Until the next update. And an hour on, welcome back. Status has changed. We are almost... Yeah, have we already passed Baku? Let's quickly see. We're almost at Baku here. We have crossed Azerbaijan, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and we're now flying over the Caspian Sea into Turkmenistan. So fuel-wise, I can quickly check 56. So at Natso we're supposed to have 47.4 plus 5, so that would be 52.4. Let's say 53. We have a little bit too much fuel now, which is no surprise because of the speeding up. So in order to correct for this, that's what I do, is I go in here and put roughly 53 tons in so that we stay reasonably accurate. So 53.6, that is fine. As I say, I've put in 5 tons more, so I'm trying to calculate the same values. Yeah. So we're going to fly now. Next waypoint is Kemor. I always picked roughly 1 hour intervals. So Kemor in and around 1607. You can see that it's still close, but the further along we get towards Kemor, the time will decrease, and I compensate for that by using the put time a little forward command, and just from time to time adjust so that Kemor has roughly the time I have written down from the original plan, and this way we stay reasonably realistic when it also comes to fuel and timing. Yeah, so far this is really working out well. As you can see now, we are completely in the dark, and I'm actually turning off the light now in the cabin completely. Let's quickly check. So this is now the cabin. That was a time now where they had dimmed the lights in the cabin and everybody was falling asleep. So this is quite a big business class here. Yeah, they look quite happy. To be honest, in economy, I mean, these seats they don't look too bad, but let's be realistic. In economy, almost no matter what airline you fly with, the fun is limited. And when you're very unlucky, you have some crying child. I had that on a flight to India. 7 hours of fun. Yeah. It's all these kind of things that can happen. I'm 1.93 m, so you can imagine what it feels to me to sit in an economy seat. Yeah, it's no fun. I actually hate it. But anyway, so it's dark now. They quiet down everything. Everybody has their headsets on or has fallen asleep by now. And from time to time, the crew is going through the aircraft. They're giving water if someone needs some water. And from time to time, someone gets up. That's why I always try to sit in an aisle seat, so that at least when I need to get up, I don't have to wake someone up. The downside is that when someone else has to get out, they wake me up. So that's just the fun of flying, especially long-haul flying as a passenger. But as I said, so Singapore has quite a good service. They have really good food, so I was quite okay with it. Yep, it was really nice actually. Compared to others, I had suffered, and the word "suffer" is the right one. And you would believe it or not, I suffered a lot with Lufthansa. They were really making my time hard on flights that I took with them. But the worst airline ever was Air China. Yeah, or was it China Air? China Air or Air China? Is that two different ones? Anyway, I was flying to Beijing, the flight to Beijing was actually not too bad. Because I was lucky, I had nobody sitting beside me in the middle row. But on the flight back, I was crammed in by people in far too narrow seats. I didn't realize this on the flight going, because I could put my legs just straight, and I had actually quite an okay flight to Beijing. But from Beijing back, it was my entertainment system has failed. They wouldn't give me another seat, so I had no entertainment for 10 hours. I wasn't allowed to use my iPhone, even in flight mode. They were quite draconic about it, you know. Like I had to turn it off, which ended up me having to sit there for 10 hours, and I was cramped in. I couldn't. My legs didn't actually fit between the seats, and it was torture. It was absolute torture. And when I arrived in Munich, I had some strange sensation in my legs, and it turned out that my feet had swollen, so I wasn't actually able to get out of my shoes when I came home. That was the first time in my life that I had swollen feet. I always heard about it from my mother or from older people, but yeah. So Air China or China Air, I think it was Air China. Never again. Never, ever again will I fly with Air China. That's for sure. Okay, so yeah, that's enough status, I guess. And our next milestone is Kmor, which will be another hour from now, roughly. And I'll be back then for another status update by then. So, hello, quick update. We've reached our next waypoint, Kmor, actually already passed it, and we've been flying in Turkmenistan and have now just been in contact, first of all, with Turkmenistan Bashir Center, then Ashgabat Center, and now we have just been called by Iran, Tehran Center, so we are now flying into Afghanistan, because we are at the border of Iran to Turkmenistan, we've actually been picked up by the Tehran center. Now, according to the plan, I don't think we should have been caught by Iran, but well, anyway, it's going to change very soon, because theoretically then we should be contacted by another Turkmen Abad center, and that will then guide us into Afghanistan, which then means that we will contact Kabul. So pilot to ATC probably doesn't pick up the borders.
Singapore 327, contact Ashgabat Center on 118.1. Have a
Yeah,
good
so
night.
back to Ashgabat now.
Center on 118.1 Singapore 327.
And we're back to Ashgabat.
Singapore 327 at flight level 350. Singapore 327, good evening. Radar contact.
Okay, and that we will follow now. So, as I say, we're still over Turkmenistan, along the Turkmenistan-Iran border, and next will be Afghanistan, where we will be contacted then by Kabul center. And yeah, so that's the current state of play. We are now slowly but surely heading further south into Pakistan then. So you can see we are flying over the Afghanistan-Pakistan border here, and then into India, where we will also be flying for some time, and then we'll be crossing the Indian Ocean until we head, or the Bay of Bengal, I think this is called here, and then you can see Malaysia, and at the south tip of Malaysia is Singapore. So slowly but surely we are getting there. I would say we have about well, we have a bit more than a third now. Yeah, it's going well so far. The passengers are still sleeping. About 2.5 hours before arriving in Singapore, there will be breakfast served. So at the moment everything is quiet and dark in the cabin, and the pilots also have their circling there. So there's 3 pilots usually on such a long flight, and one of them is yeah, can take a nap, or can kind of recreate somewhere in the back of the airplane, or actually in one of the crew rests, wherever that is in the A350, I'm not sure. And the other 2 pilots obviously will have to stay in the cockpit and monitor the systems and have to stay awake. That's probably one of the hardest parts of a pilot, especially on the long haul. First of all, your sense of time and time zones and everything gets confused very often. Yeah, you don't have a fixed sleeping rhythm or something like that, so it can be quite hard. The biorhythm gets violated probably more than once in a month, so that is actually quite difficult. And the other thing is, once it gets dark, the body kind of switches into this night mode as well, so it is much harder to stay awake and alert when it is dark for a prolonged period. I'm not sure if pilots would actually turn on the light. Probably I would do that when I'm in a cockpit, not to be too much in the dark, because I mean you wouldn't be able to see things outside anyway if it doesn't show up on the GPWS or on the TCAS. You have no way of seeing anything that might be in your path. So there's no reason why you shouldn't probably have lights on. I would imagine that it is easier if you have the full lights on. I don't want to have it though, because it looks a bit odd. It looks a bit more atmospheric when we do have reduced lighting. But I can imagine that it is quite hard. I've been participating in World Flight, and twice already, and my first time round I actually did most of the night flights at the beginning, at the first half, and I have to tell you, it was after the second night and a very disturbed sleeping rhythm, especially then after 2 o'clock, between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning, the monotony of sitting in the cockpit, hearing the, and okay, you do have ATC, but especially when you do simulation, like in World Flight, for example, it's not that you're really keeping log and doing a lot of things. So it can be quite hard, especially if the other pilot is also tired. You can really see how discussions die down after some time, and everybody's kind of struggling to keep awake. Yeah, good coffee, but coffee only brings you as far. It's not the perfect remedy against being dead tired. And the last world flight in 2018, I actually fell asleep in one of my night assignments. Yeah, but I had a real pilot sitting beside me, so he kind of kept me, or kept waking me up. Or and then the other thing was, I mean, I kind of kept awake then by force. But I remember one of the approaches. It was good that my captain was flying this approach, because I was completely beside myself. I couldn't understand the ATC instruction. You could really see how your brain shuts down. Although you look like you're awake, and but actually your brain isn't. And yeah, that was. So I can imagine being a pilot on long haul in prolonged flights in the dark is extremely hard. That's probably one of the harder things of the pilot profession. The other thing, like that, you have to be away a lot. If you have a family, I could imagine that is hard too. But in a way, you choose that profession. So why would you? I mean, you have to just compromise with that. And then again, if you are in a reasonable airline, you also have some perks on trips like this, and you will stay at least 1 or 2 days at your destination, because you need to rest and you need to kind of recuperate, and because they can't just put you on the next flight back home. You will never survive that one. So usually have good hotels and probably a good time with the rest of the crew that also stays over. So there's probably a lot of good and positive parts as well, and you get to fly, if you're lucky, you get to fly to places that are interesting, and where you can kind of make a little mini holiday. So yeah, it depends very much on what you're flying. So cargo pilots are slightly different, but actually cargo pilots have to fly in the dark much more than pilots for normal passenger flights, because most of the cargo traffic they try to keep that during the night, especially in Europe, for example, down to South Africa. These flights are usually in the night, during the night. It's better for them, because passenger flights usually are, at least the brunt of the passenger flights are not during the past midnight hours. They're usually before that, and usually they end kind of until midnight. Things die down at all the airports and the airways, and get really freed up. So cargo planes try to use this. I mean, you can't always be flying at night, and you can't always be flying during non-congested times, but still, it is actually better for them to fly that late. So what's our next? Dudek is our next milestone. Yeah. So I'm going to speed up now again. I just realized I haven't actually put in the 4 times ground speed. Do that now. Yeah, I'm not taking it that serious. It's just that I think it's quite good, because I can speed up things, and it is actually a bit more fun like that for me. Right, so Dudek, our next one, and I will be back with some more information and, I don't know, stories I'll tell when we are at Dudek. So, welcome back. We skipped one of my milestones, but now at Kabul is the next one. I already corrected fuel and time, and we are actually over the Thar desert in northern India. We just passed Bikaner, and we are in the province of Rajasthan, heading towards Jaipur, and flying somewhat south of Delhi and Agra. Yeah, so we're going through India now until we reach the coast, and then we'll fly into the yeah, well, it's probably the Indian Ocean, but it's also called the Bay of Bengal. Yeah, and that's when we are on our last third, I would say. We have definitely already passed half the route, as you can see. And so if I show you this, so we are now over Rajasthan towards Jaipur. Yeah, and the desert here, there's a desert here, it's called the Thar. I was there, I visited that part. It was also quite interesting. Yeah, and here you can see now how we continue to the east coast of India, and then we go here into the Bay of Bengal. We're flying past the Andaman and Nicobars, so the Andaman Islands. And then here we come flying along the Malaysian coast, passing Kuala Lumpur, and then getting to Singapore. So slowly but surely we're getting there. Yep. So let's have a quick look at the flight plan. So currently we are not in accelerated mode, so we are expected to arrive at 22:30 plus 6 or 7 hours, I'm not sure. 6 hours at least, probably 7 hours, because we were supposed to arrive in and around 7 o'clock local time. This may actually increase here. Okay, I'm not sure if that's correct. We shall see, because we also haven't got yet the approach in it. Now, I've checked the weather so far. The current weather in Singapore is 26 degrees. 1011 is the pressure. Good visibility, no wind. So we're pretty, the way it looks at the moment, we're pretty free where to land. So there's no preference. So I'm expecting the Arama, or it's actually called, let me quickly check what the arrival is called. It's the Lely 3 Bravo arrival via Arama, and we're probably going to end up landing on the ILS runway 20 center. This, I don't know if that is actually correct, but anyway, we'll find out. Yeah, but still we have about a third to go, and I would say when we are above the Indian Ocean, then that's time when the breakfast is going to be served, and we're going to bring up the lights in the cabin again. But still people are sleeping, and it will still take some time. Now, next milestone is KKJ, because there we will request our last step climb for this flight to flight level 370. Yeah, so next place will be here, and I will let you know when we're there. Actually, a quick information. I'm not sure how I did it, but I accidentally brought my PC into hibernation mode. So everything stopped and got dark, and I first thought that it would reboot, and my flight is sort of, that's the end now of it. Luckily enough, it was just the hibernation mode that somehow, the sleep mode that I somehow triggered. I'm not quite sure how I did it. So I was able to get it out of and apart from one of my radios, everything has come back again. Also, all the software, the simulator, everything continued as before. So lucky us, because that could have been the end, and I'm not sure how I would have. I would have had to try and set it up again. That would have been a major headache. So lucky that didn't happen. So welcome back for, oops, 16 times. No, I didn't want that. I want to actually turn it off.
Singapore 327, contact Mumbai Centre on 132.7. Enjoy your night. Centre on 132.7, Singapore 327. Singapore 327 at flight
So
level
we're now with Mumbai Centre.
Singapore 327. Radar contact.
Okay, we're now with Mumbai Centre, and yeah, the wind actually has turned and is actually pushing us now, which gives us a ground speed of 542, so that's actually quite good. We're getting pushed quite a bit, and you can see that our fuel flow has gone beyond or below 3000 per engine, so we're currently under 6 tons per hour, which is good. We are more or less halfway through India. We had been with Mumbai now, and then comes Varanasi Centre, so we're still a couple of at least I would say another half an hour or so we would be over India, and then we go into the Bay of Bengal for our last bit, for our last flight, part of the flight. Now I will possibly do a live stream of the last part. Depends a little bit on how things work out. I will attempt at least to do a live streaming. So yeah, I'm just wondering how I should do this so that I have a kind of a fallback in case that streaming thing doesn't work out. We shall see. I might have to turn on that it also stores the video on disk, which I usually don't have when I stream. We shall see. Anyway, we need to request flight level 370 because we are now. So request climb. Okay, so I'm going to request a climb now. Singapore 327, request climb to flight level 370.
Singapore 327, descend and maintain flight level 370.
No. Singapore 327, request flight level 370.
Singapore 327, climb and maintain flight level 370.
There we go. That I can
Climb
confirm.
and maintain flight level 370, Singapore 327.
So I'm going to bring it up now, and I'm going to use the vertical speed mode again.
129.6.
Singapore 327, climb and maintain flight level 370.
Yes. Just give me a moment. Why is everybody so...
Climb and maintain flight level 370, Singapore 327.
Cambridge, cargo 58, heavy position, lunar flight level 340.
Cargo 538 control.
Okay, I probably pressed the buttons wrong. Okay, very nice. So the only other thing I think I still need to do is go here to the performance page, or was it the init page? Init page, and I'm going to it has already detected that correctly, so that's our new cruise flight level. That's fine. Back to the flight plan. So my next waypoint will be VPIM or something like that. Let me see. VPIM, yeah. So we'll be there around 8 o'clock UTC. And the top of descent I will need to check out, but yeah, let me see. I'm going to check with... Oh yeah, I need to also tell the ATC that we're now on flight level 370, so that it recalculates the top of descent.
Yeah, China 910, missing for travel 370.
China 910, good to flight, report point Milan.
Okay, I revalidated, and now it's flight level 370, which means that our top of descent would be at or after Dumok, between Dumok and Batar. I should write this down. Somewhere between Dumok and Batar.
France 128, contact control 125.8.
Dumok
125.8 of 1.8.
and Batar. Somewhere in between. We're going to be ordered down by ATC, pretty sure. Okay.
France 128, contact control 125.8.
Right, so that's the status update for another hour. When we are near the top of descent, then I think before that actually, so before Dumok, way before that, actually the descent starts. Strange here. There's some weird settings here. Oh yeah, anyway, so I would say that around dark cruise or so I'm going to, how much is that? It's distance 48, 29, yeah, so VBA, Victor Bravo Alpha or so, I'm going to start to with the approach briefing, and possibly also will then start with the live streaming if it works out. Right, that's it. On to the next part. So welcome back. Next milestone VPIM, which we have just arrived, or will arrive in a few seconds. There we go. So currently it's Zulu time 20:04, and our fuel on board is 26.9 tons. And as you can see, we have now entered the Bay of Bengal, and I would say the top of descent is not that long, so it will be coming eventually. Not that this aircraft is going to calculate the top of descent, so I take the top of descent information from pilot ATC. So in and around Dumok or Batan waypoints is roughly where probably ATC is going to demand that we start the descent. Before that I will go to the approach briefing. Now we are roughly 2.5 hours, although the estimation has gone up to 2258. Okay, so 2300 Zulu. Yeah, which makes sense. So that's 6 something local time in Singapore. The weather in Singapore, actually, I'm looking at the weather report at the moment from 1930 Zulu. We have now 27 degrees. There is a wind, a slight wind from heading 20 with 6 knots. 1010 is the pressure, so the pressure has gone down a bit. Still good visibility, everything fine. The thing is, yeah, with now some winter coming up, I'm not sure what the arrival runway will be. Still 6 knots is not a lot, so yeah, we'll see what pilot to ATC makes of that. Yeah, so everybody is going to be woken up now soon, so the lights will come on and then they will start serving the breakfast. As you can see, the water levels have gone down to 50% and the waste level have gone up to 50%, so we've used up half of our water, and it ended up in the waste tanks, which need to be pumped out when we finally arrive. Now we have been 3 hours and 31 minutes is the counter for the clock. That's obviously not realistic, because also the flight time of 5 hours and 55 is also not quite realistic, because obviously we have been flying with this speed mode up, and it gets completely confused when it comes to the times. So we are definitely longer airborne than what they calculate. So yeah, to the destination ETE, according to pilot to ATC, is 2 hours and 30 minutes. So that's a very good time for breakfast. And yeah, I will be back when we come towards the top of descent, and we'll leave then for the descent briefing and the approach briefing. So, back for another quick status update. We have in the meantime left Tavun behind us, and it's now 21:18 Zulu, corrected time, and the FMC is telling us that we are going to be around 2300 UTC. We need to hand off again to another center.
132.6 Singapore 327.
That's now Yangon Center, whatever, Kuala. So now we are with Kuala Lumpur Center.
Singapore 327 at flight level 370. Singapore 327, good morning.
Okay.
Radar contact.
So, as you can see, we still have darkness out there. The local time is probably somewhere around 5 o'clock or so. As I say, we have another an hour and a half roughly, plus the time we need for the approach. So yeah, looking not too bad. Yeah, so far things are going really well. So what I'm planning to do is when we arrive at Victor Papa Lima, that is probably when I'm going to stop things. That's the good thing about not being online and having these kind of things. When we are at VPL, I'm probably going to stop the simulator, pause it, and then I will attempt to set up the streaming environment, see if that works out for me. I'm going to do a little, I have to do a little test, I suppose. Well, we shall see. So the idea is that in and around VPL, which is then Dumok Batan, let's see where these are, if I go down here. So VPL is here, Andok Vilat, our top of descent is most likely Dumok. Yeah, somewhere between Dumok and Bata is roughly the top of descent. So I'm quickly going to cross-check this again with Batak, Dumok Bata. Yeah, so in and around Dumok, yeah, top of descent is after Bata actually. is the real top of descent. So we're fine. At the moment, it still gives us the ILS runway 20. I'm not sure if I can actually change this. So if I press star now, I hope I'm not breaking things now. So yeah, it actually now recommends runway 02, Arma 1 Alpha, so I'm going to use it. Ah, that's good. So you can change this with Pilot ATC. I can't show you this right now. And it also recommends runway 02C ILS. I'm going to load this because that is actually pretty much in line with the weather we have. So let's see if that makes a change regarding the top of descent. The top of descent is actually a bit further on, Topor. Yeah. So we're going to see Topor. Yeah. So as soon as we are at VPL, I'm going to halt everything for the moment, and then after probably a coffee or something, I'm going to try and set up a stream, and then we're going to see the rest of that, hopefully live and hopefully without issues. Okay, that's it. That's probably the last video-based status update. So I have to see how that fits together from a length point of view. Either I do everything in one video, the departure and also status updates. Depends a little bit how much time that is. I'm definitely going to have the preparation video separate. Yeah, so that we don't have too large a video, and then part 3 is basically then hopefully the stream, where hopefully everything goes according to plan. We shall see. Okay. If that is the last part, then yeah, wait for a live stream to come online, or there will be the recording of that stream will be available after that.